Thank you. Thanks. People often ask if it's fun to play. Yeah, it is. It's really cool to play like that, just in case you wanted to know. I really enjoy doing that a lot. I'm not a real notes on the page guy. I get the notes on the page, but I never studied piano. I studied organ. I never took a piano lesson. I studied organ on Long Island, in Bayshore, Long Island, for anyone who knows that part of Suffolk County, at the Nelson Varon Organ Studios, which was very big in the 70s. I played organ. I studied 4 years of organ, and that's all the formal training I've ever had, is that. The rest I'm just making it up. So thank God I can make stuff up, Lynn, or I'd have no career at all. So I did study classical organ. So, I studied Bach and all that stuff, and I can play the notes on the page. I just get very bored by the notes on the page. So the first song I'll do of mine is called The Coast. I grew up in Copeg, Long Island, on the South Shore. So I grew up on a very calm part of kind of the Atlantic, Jones Beach, Fire Island, that part of the world. So I wrote this for where I grew up. And John, very kindly, I say in quotes, said, hey, do you have a copy of that? Because I played this last week at church. And I said, no, I've never written down my music because it's really complex and it's hard for me to do. So I took a little bit of time this week and I wrote out the first part and sent it to John so that he can learn it, so that he can start playing instead of me. That's the goal. So this is The Coast. And again, really, just relax. That's really what this is all about. So. Thank you. Thanks. So that's how it goes, John. Great, yeah. And for all the piano teachers out there or people who ever studied piano, or if anyone's watching online that studies piano, you'll know I never took piano lessons because I double thumb a lot. I use my thumb to cover 2 and 3 notes. Piano teachers hate that. So don't do that, kids. So cranberry juice. I'm going to play cranberry juice so you don't think all I do is play ballads and lushy George Winston stuff. I worked at a place called Heritage Square Opera House in Colorado, and it was a sort of an oleo melodrama opera house. And for the show in the theater, we did this crazy oleo where there were 2 piano players, and we played ragtime and all this crazy stuff. And then one of us was lucky enough to have to go upstairs to the bar and play after the show. So we'd already done a 2.5-hour show, and one of us would have to go upstairs and play for a couple hours while people had drinks. So I drink Long Island iced teas. That's, on Long Island, we call them iced tea. So that's what I drink. Well, someone told me that you can make it a Long Beach if you use cranberry juice instead of Coke. Maybe I'm not supposed to say that in church, but there's stuff about wine in the Bible, so I'm fine. So I had a Long Beach, and I used cranberry juice. And I got to thinking while I was up there playing and hating that I had to play, how long could I play something, the exact same thing, until someone would actually notice that I actually was playing the same thing? And it went for about 20 minutes. And it really was like the other piano player who said, really, you should change to something else, because I just wanted to see if anyone would notice. So this is cranberry juice. I'm not going to do the 20-minute version, but this is called cranberry juice, and I played this for like 20 minutes once just to see if anyone would notice, and they didn't. And that's the whole thing. Thanks. Yes, I did that for 20 minutes. Hey, Ken, because of your definition of 10 feet today, for those of you who aren't at church, it was very mathematical. I thought, you would be the perfect person to ask this question. And maybe you have time in, when you're not doing stuff that you could figure this out. I would love to figure out how many notes I've played in my career. I mean, I've got to be close to 1 billion by now, wouldn't you think? Right? Ken has some formula he'll figure out somewhere. Great, thank you, appreciate it. So I'm going to do something that she hates, because I did it 2 years ago at a concert I did in Colorado, and I'm going to do it, and she's still going to hate it today, but oh well. I'm going to FaceTime my wife, so if you're watching, know that you're going to be FaceTimed in a few seconds. Do you have that song with the slides ready, Ed? Or whoever's back there? Great. Today is my 28th anniversary. Thank you. And I am spending it with you, so. Yeah. So I was doing a concert in Colorado a few years ago. See, she's going to say, I hate this. Watch.
Hello?
Hi.
Oh, what are you doing?
So you don't have to look at anybody. I promise I won't show your face.
Please don't do this.
Okay, please don't do this. So I'm just going to put it on the piano stand, so you just have to look at me. I just told them that I'm spending my anniversary with them. So
It's true.
it's true.
Well, not the whole thing, I hope.
Huh?
Well, not the whole day, I hope.
Well, right. Yeah, no, it won't be that long. So when I did the Valentine's Day concert from Colorado, I FaceTimed Kristen as well. And I did this song, Friend, that we're going to put the lyrics up for. Kristen and I wrote this for a wedding. We write original wedding songs for people. We hear their stories, and then we write a customized song for their wedding. So we wrote this years and years and years and years ago for a wedding, and it's called Friend. And since it's our anniversary, I never sing in public because I don't like singing in public, but all the singers say you should sing in public because you wrote it. So I'm going to sing Friend for all of you to enjoy with the lyrics and for my wife on our anniversary. Sorry, don't look at her. Don't look at her. So, enjoy this. And if you're with someone or if you wish you were with someone you liked, go ahead and reach over and hold someone's hand if you want to. We think it's a really pretty song. So here you go. This is Friend. This is a gift for my wife on our anniversary and hopefully a gift for you as well. Give me a second to get set up. Talk amongst yourselves.
So how's everybody doing?
And I have to use my iPad because I wasn't sure I'd remember the song. So I have to use the music. Okay. My wife is an incredible singer and an incredible songwriter. So we do this a lot together where we write songs together. Okay. Okay, I think that's ready. Okay, you ready, Ed? Let's run those slides because I don't really know all the words. Forever I'll be with you. Remember I will be true. Imagine my life without you. No, no, I can't. Eternally by your side, needing you to be my guide. Dancing through time, my friend. Your laughter, your smile, your kind, gentle ways, the sunshine you bring on those gray, cloudy days, your warm, calming touch, you are never too far, you are always as close as my heart. Forever I'll be with you. Remember I will be true. Imagine my life without you. No, no, I can't. Eternally by your side, needing you to be my guide. Dancing through time, my friend. to know you can count on me too. When the times get rough and you've had enough, please know I'm there for you to offer you love and a good place to cry. I'm forever, remember, imagine, eternally needing and dancing with you. Forever I will be true. Remember I will be true. Imagine my life without you. No, I can't. Eternally by your side, needing you to be my guide, dancing through time, my friend. Dancing through time, my friend. Happy anniversary. See you later. What?
Said now we're going to the expensive restaurant.
Okay, great. We're going to the expensive restaurant. Bye. Love you. Bye. There you go. Sorry. Not sorry. There you go. That was my song for my wife for our anniversary. Happy anniversary. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to do 3 notes. This is a big popular thing. Our good friend Ken Needleman is playing up north in Wyckoff. Is that a place? Yeah, he has a concert today at 2 o'clock up north. He wrote yesterday and said he'd love Kristen and I to come up. So after this, we may run up and see Ken. Ken is the king of 3 notes. If you've never seen Ken Needleman do 3 notes, you need to go on YouTube and look up Ken Needleman 3 notes. He's the king of this. I pale by comparison to what Ken does. But he's a god of piano, and I just play really good. So, I take 3 random notes and I make up a song right here in front of you for no apparent reason. Sometimes they're great, sometimes they're real iffy. But it's right off the top of my head, so how bad can it be, right? So, I'm going to let you pick the first note because you're a piano player and you don't have to feel any pressure. You can pick the first note and then we'll have 2 other random notes. A has been chosen. Okay, we need 2 more notes.
C.
Sorry?
C.
C, A, C. Great. And a 3rd note?
G sharp.
G sharp. Great. Okay. Okay, so that's it. Okay? So, yeah, I'll do the one I was thinking of first. Okay, so those are the notes. Or if we go that way, okay? A, C, G sharp, okay? Thank you. Thanks. Can I get this turned back on? Burl, can I get this turned back on? Thank you. Okay, it's not so much on. Can we turn it up? On, more on. Check 1, 2, that's ish better. Okay, so there you go, that's 3 notes. There you go. John, I'll never play that again. No, I'm not writing that out. You can make up your own, right? Great, let me do a couple more songs and then we'll call it a day for everybody. I'm going to do Belle. A friend of mine, many, many years ago, she was teaching ballet. She was a ballerina. She was teaching ballet at a studio, and we were going to have lunch. So I drove to the studio to pick her up for lunch, and she had been done with her class, so she was in one of the studios just dancing, kind of like when I just play. And it was really beautiful to watch someone do what they do when they don't know they're being watched. Right? Because she wasn't performing. She wasn't trying to do something. She was just dancing, I guess is the right word, right? Because she was just being. That's almost a better word. She was doing and being. And it was really beautiful for me to not jump in, to not participate, but to be an observer and to just watch her play. Sometimes I hope, especially when I do preludes here at the church, that maybe it's listening more than watching, but you just listen. Because I'm just playing. So just listen. It's the gift that God has given me is to play. And this was her gift as a dancer. And it was such a joy to just sit and watch this friend of mine, again, be or do without any judgment in either way. So this is called Belle. This was written after being inspired by watching what she did. Thank you. I thought I'd see if you have any questions about anything for me. I thought I'd talk a little bit about stuff I've written. I've written 3 or 4, 5 musicals, none that you've heard. The church was so blessed and let me do A Kiss for My Daughter, A Kiss for My Father here several months ago. That's one piece, thanks, that I'm very proud of. Thank you. I have a piece on motherhood. It's for 5 women that I wrote about motherhood. And I've been told by many people they wouldn't do the show because a man wrote it, which I didn't quite understand. Yeah, I've submitted it to places, and there have been people who've written back and said we wouldn't even open it because a male wrote it. And I thought, wow, okay, I had a mother. I mean, I know mothers. So anyway, I've written a show about marriage called We'll Beat the Odds. I've written a show called Whisper. It's called Wisp. It's about the angel you hear right before you die. It's a story called Wisp that I love. Wisp. It's this little tiny nugget of a show. I just started this. Some of you who watch me on Facebook have been kind of adding into this. I just started a piece that the working title, this is not going to be the title, it's just easy to keep track of it, is called Old. It's about getting older. And it's going to be a funny vignette about getting older, and I'm getting lots of input from people about getting older. And I reached out to a couple of my friends in 2 different parts of the country yesterday, and I said, hey, I'd like you to do my show. It's going to be 4 people. Everyone has to be over 50 to do the show. So I just started working on it yesterday, and it's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it. I've written a couple of, Jesus a Life is a 2-act musical that I've written based on from the Annunciation all the way through death and resurrection. It's sort of Jesus Christ Superstar-ish, except in a broader way. I have Jesus a Life, which is an oratorio. It's the Stations of the Cross, the 15 Stations of the Cross that I've written for Lent and Easter. It takes the 7 weeks to do it so that it's a journey down the whole Stations of the Cross. And I wrote Grazie, which is a choral piece about giving thanks. And in that piece, there's a piece called Yum Yum, because a lot of it's done in Italian. And I wrote a piece, someone said, could you write a piece about food? So I wrote a piece called Yum Yum about food. And maybe I'll have the choir do it sometime. Sopranos, it goes up to an F, though. And then I've written tons and tons of original music for different things. Like I said, Kristen and I write for weddings, and I write for people all the time. I was doing a thing for Mother's Day years ago where people would pay me to write. I'd ask them for a story about their mom, and the best one that I ever had was a friend of mine who lives in Alaska said that she and her mom would go out on walks all the time and see moose everywhere they went. And her mother, and again, people just give me these little bullet points, and then I pick on something to highlight. Her mother said to her, which when I ask the question, you'll laugh, but then if you take a second and think about it, you're going to say, that's a really good question. The mother said to the daughter, do moose pee? And I thought, well, that's a really good question because you never see them do that. So I wrote a Mother's Day song called Do Moose Pee. And the girl wanted to sing it with her ukulele, so she sang it for her mother for her Mother's Day present on her ukulele. And her mother just thought it was a wonderful thing. Great. Any questions for me before yeah.
Since you aren't fond of notes on a page, when you play a piece like The Coast, the 10th time or the 20th time, does it come out of your fingers identically, or does it come out differently every time? And if so, how different?
My wife is raising her hand right now and saying, I know the answer to that. It never comes out the same way. The theme is the same. The basic theme is the same. But I'll often, hear a new chord that I want to try. So I'll try something different. So I know it's different, but you, the listener, wouldn't really recognize that it's very different from what you hear. So for me, I always look for different ways to play stuff. People ask that about Amazing Grace all the time. And my wife will tell you she's never heard it done the same way twice. The basic shape of it is the same, but the inner workings are always different. And my wife will sometimes say, I heard that thing you did. So, But I love playing so much, so it never gets boring. I love to play. So I'm just so grateful that I get to play. Yeah.
If you're composing something, when you sit down to do it again, how do you remember if you're not writing anything down, what you did when you first composed it?
When it's my own songs, it's pretty easy to remember. It really is. I think just because I was there when they were born. You know, so my fingers, and like Belle about my dancing friend. See, I remember that, so I remember feeling inspired. When I think of the coast, I think about growing up on the Great South Bay. So memories trigger my hands to just sort of play what they're supposed to play. So they kind of remember it. But like the song I started with, Old, the other day, I started writing it on my computer, and I thought, man, I got to write this down because I'm never going to remember it. And I'm glad I did, because I wouldn't remember what I did. So I do have to write them down. But then, like when I play Motherhood, I'll have music in front of me, and I'm like, I wrote this. I know how it goes. So maybe it's like naming your cows or something. You just know what the cows do, I guess. Yeah.
Mitch, I remember you told us when you were in high school you played for a certain ice hockey team. Or you were, I wonder if you have any interesting story from that time?
When I was a junior and senior in high school, I played organ for the New York Islanders at the Nassau Coliseum. Yes. Yes, that's what I did. I would get to go, and the organ was way up there, way above the nosebleed seats, and it was a big Wurlitzer, like a mighty Wurlitzer, 4 manuals, I think. So this was not unfamiliar to me at all, because I grew up playing the organ. So when I went in to audition, my mom drove me to the Nassau Coliseum, and we walked up and up and up, and I was, I don't know, 14, maybe 15, and I just started playing. And they were like, we love this. So for 2 years, I played organ for the New York Islanders. And like when the Harlem Globetrotters came to town, there was always organ for that kind of stuff. I got to see World Wrestling Federation because they wanted cover music, because people weren't using, you know, music. They just wanted cover music. They wanted people to have that baseball experience. And that's what I provided. The fun thing about that is that I would get to go, like when the Globetrotters and the Wrestlers, they would do a 2-show Saturday and a 2-show Sunday. I would get to go early enough before the building opened so I could watch them practice. So I would sit courtside or ringside and watch them actually practice what they were going to do that night. So it was kind of cool. So that's one of my freaky little weird things. I was a competitive roller skater as a kid. That's something not a lot of people know, that I try to keep quiet. So I learned about playing the organ from listening to organs in roller skating rinks. I mean, that's where I learned it. That my mom wanted me to roller skate as a kid, so that's what I did. Anything else? Yes?
How did God bless us with
Thank you. I was going to save the story for Amazing Grace, but I'll say it now and then I'll play Amazing Grace later. When I did come here, I want to say, it was in the fall. It was a rainy kind of fall night, and it was a Wednesday or a Thursday. It was midweek, and it took me like an hour and 45 minutes to get here, and I thought, well, this isn't good. This is really far away. And we came in, and everyone was very nice. Some of you were there. And everyone was very, very nice. And we talked a little bit, and I sat at the piano, and they couldn't get the organ to turn on. You guys literally couldn't figure out.
It had been off from COVID for a long time.
So they couldn't turn the organ on. So I remember sitting at the piano and everyone kind of looking at me and me looking back at them. And I said, well, why don't I start? And then I played Amazing Grace. It was the very first thing I ever played in here. And it seemed like it went well after that. So thank you for letting me be here and come here and make my music. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Any other questions? Great. I'm going to play Evenings in the Sun just so you know that I don't only write ballads. Then I'm going to do Joyful, Joyful, which if I ever play your funeral service, your memorial service, this will be the last song I play at your service, because it's what I play at every memorial service, because I'm planning that when I go up, they're playing this for me. That's why I play it. People... So often at funerals and memorials, sometimes there's such this sadness rather than a celebration. So years and years ago, I said, no, I'm leaving the family with this celebration moment. And then I'll finish with Amazing Grace. Thanks for coming today. Thanks for hanging out. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Pastor, for letting me do this. Thank you. So this is written for soprano sax. So imagine Kenny G playing it. It's that kind of a song. I made some quick CDs yesterday. If anyone would like them, they're in a basket up here. There's 14 pieces on here, some of which I don't remember how to play. And there's one on here that's was written for my daughter for Father's Day, sung by my friend Brian Smith at the very end. So if you'd like one, if you want to leave some money, that would be great. I made, 25 of them or so. If you want, they're up here. And it's a lot of what we did. I'm also on Spotify, I just figured out yesterday. I thought I should look, and I'm on Spotify, so you can listen to all the stuff on Spotify. This is going to be Joyful, Joyful, and then Amazing Grace. I thought I'd take a second for those who've never bothered to ask or thought it was too personal. Maybe, Ed, you can zoom in on these. I thought I'd explain my tattoos on my hands. I don't know. I'll just hold it there, Ed, and let Ed kind of do what he does in the back. Wow, look at how good he is at doing that. That was great. This is Orion. My son's name is Orion. So I have Orion on this hand. My daughter's name is Willow. So I have, sorry, Ed, I'm a little out of focus. Sorry about that. So I have Willow on this hand. And I did them in such a way that I get to see them when I play the piano. That's why I did them this way. Now here's the difficult one, Ed. So I got to turn my back and I'll try and help out as I can. So let's see. There's Ed. Okay. I have two of them on my thumbs. I think you can kind of see that, right? I have that one on my thumb. Man, Ed's so good at this. Pastor, we got to have him do this on your sermon. And then I have this one on my other thumb. Okay? So here's the magic, Ed. We're coming together. You ready for the shot? When you put them together, it's a K from my wife, Kristen. Thank you. This is Amazing Grace. Thanks for coming today. Enjoy the rest of your day. This is the first thing I ever played in this church, for those who were here. It's the very first thing I ever played. Well, there you go. When it is the last, I'll make it the last. So we bookend it. That's not today. So this is Amazing Grace. I played this just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times for many different reasons. And I'm so grateful I get to play. Thanks again for coming today. Wow, we're being filmed, or she's playing solitaire. She took the first thing I said, so she's like playing solitaire. I probably would. Okay, here we go. And I'll explain this too, because no one's really ever asked about this. It's great to do Amazing Grace on an acoustic piano, a wood instrument with strings, because of the resonance that happens inside a piano. The very first time I play this, and often when people see it the first time, they like roll their eyes and they say, that's just stupid. Go with it. It'll turn into something. The very first section of the song, it's a pentatonic scale, okay, which means that it's like it's only black notes. It's pentatonic. So if you leave the sustain pedal on, all you get is overtones of the key of F. So that by the end of the first phrase, hopefully you'll be able to hear in the piano all the overtones ringing. And that's what I'm trying to do, is create sort of I'd use a cooking term, but I can't cook. Like getting the butter to melt and just letting it all sort of mush in there before we start adding stuff into it. So that's why, and I play it with one finger, because I don't want, how do I say this the right way? I don't want any phrasing or emotionality. I just want it to be as though a bell is playing it, and it's just hitting it. And there's no, and I leave the sustain pedal on the whole time from the very beginning. So just if you listen for that, that might be interesting.